A. Are you going to tell Mom about it? No, you're not a tattle. You know why? Because snitches get stitches, right? All right, here we go.
You say that while you're teaching.
Yeah, why not? The quadratic formula. People should know that. You're welcome. All right, here we go. Our third way. So we've solved by factoring, we've solved by graphing, and now we're going to solve by quadratic formula. Now with the quadratic formula, you need to remember that your equation has to look like this before you start. ax squared plus bx plus c has to equal 0, okay? In order for the quadratic formula to work. Has to look like that. If it's not like that, you bring all the stuff over to one side, and it does look like that. And here we go. We get our two answers by using this formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus. That's where we get our two answers. Because sometimes people are like, well, that's just one answer. But there's two there. Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all over 2a. Yes, some of you know this. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I sang that on my video, and that's okay. Take a look at this. What if you cover up the square root part? What do you get? Negative b over 2a. We've seen that somewhere. Axis of symmetry, huh? Okay, I have a proof that I'm not going to show you. All right, so let's move on. Number 1. Here we go. We are going to solve by using the quadratic formula. Now, I'll tell you a little secret. This is not my favorite way to solve. Yeah, it's just not. All right, here we go. But it's necessary sometimes. 2x squared minus x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, personally, I like to factor, but sometimes things aren't factorable. You know, life gets messy. And like this one, we have to use the quadratic formula. It's not factorable. You could try all you want, but it's not. So here we go. Are you ready? It's just putting numbers into a formula and working it out. I want you to show work on these in your homework. Okay, a little bit, as much, show as much as you can. So we're going to do negative b. So b here is negative 1, and I got to take the opposite of that. Negative b plus or minus the square root. Here's where I like to actually square that b. So negative 1 squared is positive 1. That number right there is always going to be positive, okay? Because whenever you square a number, it becomes positive. Any real number. Careful. B squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times 2. Okay, and now we need to simplify. So this is the way I like to simplify this. X equals 1 plus or minus, and I'm going to get my calculator out, and I'm going to plug in the inside of the radical, not with the square root, but I'm going to do 1 minus 4 times 2 times negative 4, and I get 33. So that's going to stay right there over 4. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And now at this point, I look at it and I say, is there anything else I can do? Can I take any perfect squares out of 33? No. Can I reduce this fraction? No. These would be my two answers. You can leave them just like that in their radical form. Okay? Always leave them in radical form. I don't want decimals for these. By the way, you could split it up if you wanted to. You could say 1 plus rad 33 over 4 and 1 minus rad 33 over 4. Okay, but you don't have to. Just leave it. You see the two answers, right? Plus and minus? Okay. All right, and that's it. That's quadratic formula. Now, are they going to be that easy? No. That's an easy one. Let's try this one. This one's going to have some stuff. Yeah. You don't. You could leave it just like that. The book might have their answers like this, though. All right, let's try this one. 2x squared minus 2x equals 3. Okay. Before we get started on plugging this into our formula, we need to move that 3 over, okay? So we have to have our quadratic equation here equal to 0. So I get 2x squared minus 2x minus 3. All right, so here we go. We need to simplify this. I get x equals negative b, so positive 2, plus or minus square root. Negative 2 squared is 4. Do that part in your head, okay? Because a lot of people write negative there. That's wrong. Minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. You can just do that in your head too. So now I need to find out what 4 minus 4 times 2 times negative 3 is. Oops, I did that wrong. 28. All right, so I get 2 plus or minus the square root of 28 over 4. Okay, well now I have some work to do. Because, as you know, 28, there's a perfect square in there. And we got to get that completely simplified. So 28 is the same thing as 4 times 7. Okay, so I'm going to write this as 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 is 2, add 7 gets left behind over 4. Is everyone okay with that step? That was what we worked on last week. Remember I said now you're required to do that every time you see a square root of something that has a perfect square in it. You have to simplify it. And then if you look, 1, 2, 3, all 3 of those numbers are divisible by 2. Yes, so let's divide 2 by 2. Let's divide that 2 by 2. And let's divide 4 by 2. And those are your 2 answers, completely simplified. Okay, if you leave it like this right here, I will not accept that. I'll mark you wrong because it needs to be all the way simplified and reduced. Question?
Can you explain how you did
Remember, this is that worksheet that I just handed back today.
Yeah.
So 28 has a perfect square, 4 times 7.
No, how you did.
Oh, this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything here can be reduced by 2. So I divided 2 into 2 and got 1. Divided 2 into that 2. Remember we did that on the worksheet too. I told you be ready for that. All right, let's do one more of these, and then we'll do a word problem to complete our day. I handed back the test, yeah. Okay. All right, let's do this one. This one's kind of fun. X squared plus 6x plus 9. Now, I'm not giving you any options, okay? You don't have the option to graph or factor. Today is strictly quadratic formula. So I would personally want to factor that, but I can't because they told me to do it by solving by quadratic formula. You're going to need to know all 5 ways. It's in the California Frameworks of Mathematics for Algebra 2. You have to know all 5, and so there you go. Have you ever wondered like what we teach, why we teach, and like who decides? Yeah, there's people, they decide. All right, x equals, it's not me, negative b plus or minus square root b squared, so 36, minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Now this one's kind of special, isn't it? You see how special it is? X equals negative 6 plus or minus. What's this inside here? What's 36 minus 4 times 9?
36 minus 36 is 0.
Perfect. 0. Okay, and the square root of 0 is? 2. The square root of 0 is not 2.
0.
It's 0. You were looking at that. And then you get negative 6 divided by 2, and you are left with 1 answer. What? Aren't you supposed to have 2? Most of the time. Yes, most of the time you do. You know, if you factored this, do you know how this factors? X plus 3, x plus 3. Do you see why we only get 1 answer that time? Negative 3, because it happened twice. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of a special one. Okay, last one. Number 4. It says here that your jazz band, is anyone in jazz band? Yeah, nice. That's good. What do you play? Saxophone? Trumpet. I was going to say that. All right, let's say that you're in a jazz band and you want to sell CDs to your friends and family, especially grandma. Grandma will buy one. All right, so you're going to sell some CDs, and the profit is going to be this model, which is negative x squared plus 48x minus 300. And P is the profit that you're going to make from selling these. And X is going to be the price of each CD that you're going to sell them for. Okay? Well, we want to find out how much we should sell our CDs for. So what should X be if we want to make a profit of $200? See, this stuff's actually in real life business. So we have to find out what we need to sell for. Do we sell our CDs for $10? Do we sell them for $20? Something like that? Let's find out. We're going to plug 200 in for P, and we're going to solve this equation. Now, the question is, how do we solve this equation? Well, we're going to solve it using the quadratic formula. So here we go. Let's subtract 200 over to the other side, and we get negative x squared plus 48x minus 500. Good.
Wait, why is it 500? Because negative 300 minus 200.
Yep. We got to bring that 200 over. Combine it with that. All right, and now we're ready to find out, and we're going to get two answers. We really want to charge the lesser of the two. We really don't want to overcharge people. So here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of, I don't know what 48 squared is, minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, this is a real life problem. We're not going to leave it in a radical form. Because if I asked you, oh, you want to buy some CDs from me? Yeah, they're 3 plus or minus square root of rad 33 all over 4. You're like, how much is that? Exactly. We want a decimal answer for this one, okay? So here we go. We're going to do negative 48. Should we do plus or minus first? Let's do plus. Plus the square root of 48 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 500. At this point, I would hit enter and then divide by negative 2. Yeah?
How do you get the square root?
Oh, it's second x squared. $15.28. Okay, I'm going to do it again, but now I'm going to put minus in the middle. So negative 48 minus the square root of 48 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 500. I'm going to hit enter to get that whole numerator. Now I'm going to divide by negative 2. All right, so should we charge $15.28 or $32.72? I'm sure Grandma would buy it at $32, but your friends probably won't. So let's go ahead and we'll charge $15.28 to make a profit of $200. Not that one. Okay? So it's just a matter of plugging in your calculator correctly, seeing how that works.